Hey everyone, welcome back to the Economic Eagle channel. In our last episode, we talked about personal finance, and inside of personal finance, one of those main categories was budgeting. So I wanted to expand upon budgeting today so that we can all have a better understanding of what it is. So we all know that money financially can cause you emotions like stress and anxiety. You kind of get nervous if you get laid off. You get depressed sometimes, depending on the situation. I mean, money, if it's not in abundance, you can be stressed, especially if you have unexpected expenses come up. So by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the tools that you can use in order to help reduce the stress, your anxiety, and help you improve your financial future. So again, why budget, right? So again, we're talking about reducing our emotional stress, our anxiety, any relationship problems that are stemming from the money. So that's why we're budgeting. And how we're going to do that is by tracking our expenses. So we want to make sure we're tracking our spending, tracking our income, and making sure we know where every dollar is going. That's the main point in budgeting. You want to know where everything's going. You don't want to come up and be missing $1,000 at the end of the month. I mean, that's like, where did that money go? Well, that's not what we want. We don't want to know exactly where that money went before we spend it. And we do this primarily for financial goals and freedom. So if you're wanting to buy a car, put a down payment on a house, you want to go on vacation, you say, all right, my goal this year, 2024, I want to save $2,000, $4,000, $10,000 by the end of the year. All right, well, how are we going to get there, right? So we're going to budget. So there's three main topics or three main options when it comes to budgeting. You got the 50-30-20 rule, you got the zero-sum budget, and you got the envelope method. So I'll break all these down a little bit farther. So the 50-30-20, these are all percents. So you got 50% of your income would then go to your needs. So this is your house, your groceries, utility bills, whatever you have to pay in order to survive. So the next is 30%. So 30% is your wants. So this allows you to still live a little, enjoy life, because obviously we don't want to have 50-50, right? We don't want to have 50% on our needs and 50% in savings. I haven't talked about savings yet, but we want to be able to enjoy our life. So we got 50% going to needs, 30% going to wants, and then again the final percent, 20%, going to savings or investing. So again, this is getting you thinking more down the road. Where is my money going? How am I going to save for short-term goals and long-term goals? So again, you got 50, 30, and 20% all designated to go in their individual pockets or envelopes or whatever. So if you make $2,000 a month, $1,000 is scheduled for your needs. 30%, what is that? Probably $600 is going to your wants, and $300, $400 is going to savings. So that's kind of how you break it down. So that's option number one. Option number two is very similar. I mean, I don't think it really has those criterias or suggested values, but it's a zero-sum budget. So this one, you're tracking every dollar that you plan to spend for the whole month or week or whatever you're trying to budget against, whatever time frame. So you start with $2,000, you want to end with zero. That's your budget. So you got a $500 house payment, rent payment, whatever, you knock that off. You planning on spending $250 on groceries for that month. Okay, so you keep going down, and what you should have at the end of this is having a surplus, right? So after all your bills are paid and all your necessities are paid, you want to at least have a surplus. And then that surplus of $200, $500 at the end, you say, well, I'm gonna take this money and I'm gonna put it into savings, or you can divide it up, kind of like the 50, 30, 20, right? So if you had $500 left over, you say, all right, well, I'm gonna eat out a couple times a month. That's gonna be $100. I'm gonna go to the movies one time, that's $50, whatever. So you kind of staging that money for those wants that you have. And then you gotta obviously save some money. I mean, you can't go through life without saving money, because you're always gonna have emergency problems. You need to set up for retirement. You just need to plan for the future. All right, so that's at the start, you're gonna start at your gross income or your net income, and you're gonna come all the way down. You wanna end with zero. And I mix those two up. So I said gross income. So that's your income that's your salary, right? So you say you're making $20 an hour, that's your gross income. Your net income is your gross income minus any taxes, 401k or insurance or whatever. So if you're making $20 an hour gross income, your net income is probably $15 or so an hour. But I don't want to get all sidetracked on that. So a zero-sum budget, at the end of the day, at the end of your budgeting, you want it to be a zero sum at the end. You want to know where those free dollars are going, or those extra dollars are going. All right. So now the third option is the envelope method. And while this is a little difficult, primarily because it mainly does with bills, like cash bills, it's a hassle to have to go to the bank, get out all your money, and put it in envelopes. But the main goal here is you say, all right, I got that $2,000 a month. I got an envelope, a physical envelope for mortgage or rent. I got a physical envelope for groceries. I got a physical envelope for gas. I got a physical envelope for utilities, whatever. So I got all those things. And you put in the amount, like your rent's primarily not going to change. So you're going to put in $500 into your mortgage. You think you're going to spend $200 in groceries for that month, you put that in your envelope. So that you plan for that. And obviously with that method, your utilities are usually fluctuating, but you should have some sort of idea of where you're going to be at. So again, if you have extra money in your entertainment and your utility comes up high, well, you're going to have to rob from your entertainment to pay your utilities. So that's kind of how that works. So those are your three options. Myself, I like the zero sum budget. I've never really done the 50, 30, 20. I don't know. I didn't hear about that till after I was taught the zero sum budget. So I was happy with the zero sum. So that's what I went with. 50, 30, 20. If that works for you, that's perfect. So it's all about finding the right method for you. And again, I like the zero sum. Others might not like it. But really, it's at the end of the day, you just want to know, like I said in the beginning, I got $2,000 coming in, and I need to know where every dollar of those $2,000 went that month. And that's our paycheck or whatever. I mean, you just got to know where it's going. And here's a few tips to help you set realistic goals and achieve those realistic goals, right? So you want to review your financial you want to review your financial situation on a periodic basis. So again, if you're not doing it every paycheck, every month, I mean, you need to do a budget every month, every paycheck. That's going to help you stay on track. You need to automate your expenses. So again, your mortgage, your rent's not really going to change very often. I mean, maybe once a year. Your utility bills, automate that. Just go ahead and get it out there. So even like mine, I end up paying a set amount. I got my auto bill pay set up for an automatic amount, the same amount every month. And generally during the spring and fall, my electric bill is not as high, so it counteracts the winter time and maybe the summertime where the bills are higher. So I kind of level load it because my utility people will not do that. Also, automating is really nice when you say you're expecting to have $200 left over for savings. Say, all right, well, at the beginning of the month, I'm going to get my paycheck. I'm going to go ahead and pay my mortgage, pay my utilities, whatever's right there at the beginning of the month. And then I'm going to put that $200 into a savings account. And what I find to be very useful is find one that you can't access very easily. So my first I can't say offshore bank account, but my first out of the way bank account was with a bank that was probably 15 miles away. I didn't have a debit card, I didn't have a credit card, all I had was the ATM card. So I could still access my money on the weekends if I needed it, or during the week. I could still access my money. However, it was a chore, it was a hassle for me to go over there and get it. So I was getting paid probably every other week. I had like $50 or whatever going to that bank account every 2 weeks. And surprisingly, what happens is you'll forget about it. So that first 1-2 paychecks, you're like, oh man, I'm missing $50, missing $100, whatever. But after 2 months, 3 months, I can guarantee you've already adjusted your spending habits to reflect what you are now bringing in. So instead of bringing home $2,000 a month, you're bringing home $1,800 or $1,900. So that just allows you to forget about that money. It starts compounding and building and growing, and you'll have $1,000, $2,000 in there before you even know it. So that's very useful tip there. Also, any small wins that you have, you stuck to your budget, you didn't go over your budget, you're not in more credit card debt this month than you were last month, celebrate. Reward yourself. I mean, don't go crazy, but have a little fun. You accomplished something big and you're on the first step to financial freedom. You need to celebrate so you stay encouraged and you keep going. So, in closing, budgeting is not about punishing you. It's more about empowering you and giving you the understanding so that you can make better financial decisions and have a better financial financial future. So that's what we all want, right? We're a lot of us are struggling now, especially with inflation the way it is, but we need to plan accordingly, set goals, track our spending in order to have a better future. I hope you got something out of this. Again, if you like these videos, like and subscribe. If you have if you want to drop a comment, I can make another video on whatever comments you have, and I'll answer any comments that I can as well. Have a good night.